Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're excavating, I guess you could say, a literary classic, Jane Austen's Pride and Prejudice.
A definite favorite.
Absolutely. And it really does keep resonating, doesn't it? Centuries later, it's, not just a love story, though it certainly works as one.
Hmm.
It's this incredibly profound study of, well, human nature, society, how we judge and misjudge each other.
Constantly.
We've got some great insights here from a preface by George Saintsbury and, of course, from the novel itself. So our mission today is to unpack why Austen still feels so relevant and maybe see a bit of ourselves in it, too.
Sounds good. And Sainsbury makes this really interesting point, doesn't he, about authors we love with personal love versus just by allowance.
Right.
And for Austen, for so many people, it's definitely personal, which leads to those fun debates, the Austenians or Janites, which novel is really the best.
Always a good debate.
But I think the key thing is why her characters feel so alive, even now. What makes her realism different?
Yeah, and that personal love must come from that skill. Sainsbury talks about her using myriad, trivial, unforced strokes to build the picture like magic.
Like magic.
Nothing false, nothing superfluous, and you really see it, these tiny details, like Mr. Collins switching his attention from Jane to Elizabeth while Mrs. Bennet was stirring the fire.
You can just picture it.
Exactly. And knowing how Mrs. Bennet would have stirred the fire, it says everything about her mood, her purpose.
Or Darcy bringing his own coffee cup back. Just that one little action.
From him,
Okay.
it speaks volumes about a potential shift, or maybe just the setting he's in. These aren't descriptions. They're like little windows into their character and the social rules.
Austen's genius is right there, in that economy.
Yeah.
Those tiny moments imply so much. Sainsbury says she knew two things that only genius knows: humanity and art.
Okay.
On humanity, he says her men, though limited, are true, and her women are, in the old sense, absolute.
Absolute meaning.
Meaning, sort of, perfectly representative,
Yeah.
true to their essential nature. She just gets people.
You definitely feel that right away with the Bennets. Mrs. Bennet. Wow. Her entire existence seems geared towards one thing.
The business of her life.
Which is?
To get her daughters married. Simple as that.
And her emotional state basically depends on whether there's a single man with a fortune nearby. Her solace was visiting and news.
Gossip, essentially.
Yeah, and she's just so blatant about it, lamenting that Lizzie is not a bit better than the others.
Yeah, and I'm sure she is not half so handsome as Jane, nor half so good-humored as Lydia. Brutal.
It's almost funny, but also kind of painful, that ambition mixed with zero self-awareness. You still see shades of that today, maybe.
Oh, definitely. And then there's Mr. Bennet, the complete opposite. Stansbury thought Austen was maybe rather hard on him.
You think so?
Well, maybe just realistic. His wife was, let's face it, a quite irreclaimable fool.
Yeah, that's Austen's description.
And his only defense mechanism was irony. That dry wit.
Like when Mrs. Bennet is panicking about the entail.
He just calmly says, let us flatter ourselves that I may be the survivor.
Or that brilliant question to Mr. Collins about his compliments. May I ask whether these pleasing attentions proceed from the impulse of the moment or are the result of previous study?
Huh. Just cutting right through the nonsense. It shows he's smart, but he uses that intelligence to kind of detach from the family chaos.
And that line sets up Mr. Collins perfectly. His pomposity, it's like he's putting on a show.
Totally.
And his answer, explaining how he practiced his little elegant compliments, it just confirms everything Mr. Bennet implied.
And then the proposal to Elizabeth. The reasons are just.
So transactional. Duty, his own happiness, and of course Lady Catherine told him to.
Can't forget Lady Catherine's advice.
He even mentions her wit and vivacity would be acceptable to Lady C, especially when tempered with the silence and respect which her rank will inevitably excite.
He wants a wife who's clever but knows when to shut up, basically.
It says so much about marriage then, doesn't it? It wasn't always about love.
Not primarily. For many, it was economics, social standing, which makes Elizabeth's refusal such a big deal.
Defines her character, really.
Yeah, and Mrs. Bennet's reaction. I have done with you from this very day. Because Lizzie's ruining the family's prospects.
But Elizabeth won't do it. It's about integrity for her, not just getting an establishment. It's a quiet kind of rebellion.
A very powerful one.
Okay, speaking of establishment, Charlotte Lucas. Her decision to accept Collins.
Ah, yes. The
It's
contrast.
such a stark contrast to Lizzie, and honestly kind of heartbreakingly practical.
She knows what she's doing.
She admits he's neither sensible nor agreeable, his company irksome, his feelings imaginary.
Brutally honest. With herself, at least.
But for a woman like her, well-educated, but with small fortune, she sees it as the only honorable provision.
It really slams home the limited options for women then.
It's not just practical, it's about survival almost.
Right.
Security versus, well, versus what Elizabeth wants. That tension's still around, isn't it? Career, relationships.
Absolutely. Charlotte says she's not romantic. She just wants a comfortable home. She thinks her chance of happiness is as fair as most people can boast.
Which is quite cynical, really.
Or realistic, depending on your view. But Elizabeth sees it as Charlotte sacrificing every better feeling to worldly advantage.
And that makes Elizabeth question everything, doesn't it? Leads to her thoughts on the inconsistency of all human characters, how you can't trust appearances.
Yeah, it's a real moment of disillusionment for her. Shakes her own certainty.
And these misjudgments, this inconsistency, it applies right to the top to Darcy and Elizabeth themselves.
Oh, definitely.
Darcy at the Meryton Ball, that infamous line about Elizabeth, tolerable, but not handsome enough to tempt me.
Textbook pride. Just shockingly arrogant. Sets up the whole conflict right there.
And Elizabeth's reaction, she tells her friends, makes a joke of it almost, shows her lively, playful disposition, how she delights in anything ridiculous.
She's stung, obviously, but she uses humor as her defense. It's her way of pushing back against his status.
Interesting how they both use wit, but differently.
Yeah. And then there's Jane and Bingley. Another mess of misinterpretations.
Right. Miss Bingley's role there.
Pure jealousy. Trying hard to keep them apart, telling Jane that Bingley doesn't really care.
And Elizabeth sees right through it. She tells Jane, Miss Bingley sees that her brother is in love with you and wants him to marry Miss Darcy. She tries to persuade you that he does not care about you.
But Jane is almost too good, isn't she? Too trusting.
Elizabeth gets so frustrated, accuses her of being too good, refusing to see faults in anyone, shows how easily other people's agendas can cloud things.
Definitely. And speaking of agendas, the visit to Hunsford.
Ah.
Lady Catherine de Bourgh in person.
Oh, boy. Almost a caricature, but Sainsbury says.
That people like that did exist,
Yeah.
especially wealthy ones. Overbearing, self-centered, neglectful of good manners.
She acts like the queen of her parish, a most active magistrate, telling everyone how to live. Her questions to Elizabeth, so intrusive, about why they didn't have a governess or if they can draw. Just pure superiority complex.
She's the embodiment of entitlement, isn't she?
Oh.
Unearned authority.
And that whole oppressive atmosphere at Hunsford seems to lead right into
Darcy's first proposal, which is a disaster.
a complete disaster. He confesses his feelings, fine, but then he goes on about her inferiority, her family connections.
It's dripping with condescension. His pride is just overwhelming.
So, naturally, Elizabeth, full of her own pride and prejudice against him by now,
Furiously rejects him. And she throws those accusations at him, splitting up Jane and Bingley, ruining Wickham.
it's a real clash of prides, isn't it? Sets the stage for the big reveal.
Exactly. That accusation about Wickham is the trigger.
Darcy's letter, which she reads with, what was it? Dreadful bitterness of spirit at first.
Yeah, she doesn't want to believe it.
But the truth starts coming out. He admits interfering with Jane and Bingley, partly because of the family's behavior, but also because he genuinely thought Jane wasn't interested. Misguided, but...
Understandable from his perspective, maybe?
Yeah.
But the real shocker is Wickham.
Right? He lays it all out. How Wickham turned down the church living Darcy offered him, took £3,000 instead.
Blew it all on idleness and dissipation.
And then tried to elope with Darcy's 15-year-old sister, Georgiana.
For her £30,000. Predatory.
It just completely flips Elizabeth's view, doesn't it? She'd bought into Wickham's charm, his looks, his story.
His fine countenance, a good figure and very pleasing address.
Mm.
She thought he had every virtue.
She was completely taken in. It's a hard lesson in judging by appearances. Confirmation bias.
Absolutely. The letter shatters her narrative, forces her to see her own mistakes in judgment. We all do that, build stories about people.
Yeah. And then the visit to Pemberley while Darcy's away, that's another key moment.
Crucial, because she gets a different perspective.
From the housekeeper, Mrs. Reynolds, who paints this picture of Darcy as, well, completely different. Kind, a good master.
Never had a crossword from him in my life, she says.
That unexpected testimony, plus how polite and genuinely civil he is when they bump into each other, it starts to thaw her immovable dislike.
Seeing him in his own environment, through unbiased eyes, it chips away at the prejudice.
Then comes the real crisis, the ultimate test. Lydia eloping with Wickham.
Chaos ensues, total scandal.
The family just falls apart, Mrs. Bennet hysterical, Mr. Bennet completely crushed, blaming himself.
Rightly so, maybe, for his earlier neglect.
It's Mr. Gardiner, the sensible uncle, who has to step in and try to manage the fallout. The potential damage to all the sisters' reputations was huge back then.
Devastating. And this is where Darcy truly shows his worth. Not by talking, but by acting.
Secretly, though.
Secretly. He finds them in London. He deals with Wickham. Pays off his gambling debts over £1,000. A fortune then.
Gives Lydia a settlement of another 1,000. Buys Wickham a commission in the army. Basically pays him off to marry Lydia and gets them out of sight.
And why does he do it? As he tells Elizabeth later. Partly guilt for not exposing Wickham sooner, but mostly.
Mostly.
For her. Because of his feelings for her. It's this incredible selfless act. Completely undermines her first impression of him as purely selfish and proud.
And when Elizabeth finds out, she's in a flutter of spirits.
A real mix of emotions.
Pleasure, yes, but also this exceedingly painful sense of obligation. She feels humbled by how wrong she was.
But also proud of him. Proud that in a cause of compassion and honor, he had been able to get the better of himself.
It's the moment her own pride and prejudice finally fall away, isn't it? A personal transformation. Her journey from dislike to respect to love. That's the heart of it.
Beautifully put. And then Austen starts tying up loose ends. Very satisfyingly.
Bingley comes back, and this time
It works out. Helped by Elizabeth's nudges, maybe. He and Jane get engaged. Finally.
a happy ending for Jane. But then one last obstacle. Lady Catherine's dramatic arrival.
Oh, yes, the final showdown. She tries to bully Elizabeth out of marrying Darcy, calls her obstinate, headstrong girl, rants about her connections, disgracing him.
But Elizabeth doesn't back down this time. She stands up to her. She's found her confidence.
And Mr. Bennet's reaction is interesting, too. He's initially worried for Elizabeth, asking if she can really be happy with a man she used to hate.
But he comes around when he sees it's real love.
Unlike Mrs. Bennet, who does a complete 180. Suddenly, Darcy is wonderful, all because of the money.
What pin money, what jewels, what carriages you will have. Jane's is nothing to it, nothing at all.
Hilarious. And telling. She hasn't changed one bit. That pin money she mentions, by the way, was like a wife's personal allowance, separate from household costs. So she's immediately thinking of the perks.
Right. And the ending for the minor characters is also classic Austen. Kitty improves when she's away from Lydia's influence.
Becomes less irritable, less ignorant, and less insipid. There is hope for her.
But Lydia, nope. Still self-willed and careless. Even rates to Lizzie asking Darcy to get Wickham a job at court.
It shows she learned absolutely nothing. Some characters grow, some just don't. It's part of Austen's realism.
So when you pull it all together, what we see in Pride and Prejudice, and Sainsbury helped point this out, is Austen's incredible knack for showing human nature. Flaws, growth, everything.
Those myriad trivial unforced strokes aren't just painting a picture of Regency England, they're showing timeless truths about us. How society shapes us, how we perceive others.
It really holds up.
It's a journey of self-discovery, isn't it? As much as a romance. Elizabeth starts off so sure of her own judgment, so prejudiced against Darcy.
And proud of that judgment.
Exactly. And she has to learn she can be wrong. That love, or maybe just life events, can force you to reconsider everything you thought you knew about others and yourself.
And the family aspect is huge throughout. You can't escape it. Mrs. Bennet's meddling, Mr. Bennet's detachment, the Gardiners' solid support. Their connections define so much of their story.
For better or worse, yeah. It makes you think about how much our own families, our own circles influence how we see the world, how we make choices.
Definitely.
Which kind of leads to a final thought maybe for you listening. In our world now where first impressions happen so fast online and off, how do we make sure we aren't falling into that same trap, holding on to our own pride, our own prejudices like Elizabeth did? How do we make sure we're seeing the real person underneath?
That is a brilliant question to leave things on. How do we challenge our own biases? Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into Pride and Prejudice. We hope it maybe inspires you to reread it with fresh eyes or maybe pick it up for the first time and see what judgments you make.